Hello, here is Danny. We are in the outdoor Sigbiker studio today. Wonderful weather, wonderful day for some cycling training, and also a great chance for me to talk about this bike. You saw me riding this bike for a couple of days, maybe not, almost 2 weeks. I've made between 500 and 1000 kilometers, something like that. And since I've been training through a whole winter on the Cannondale Super 6, which is lightweight climbing bike, there is a huge difference between that one and this one. So aero versus climbing bike, that's another episode, but here we're gonna just focus on the main features that you might be interested in if you think about buying an aero bike. So this is the aerodynamic specific bike. It will be a bit heavier, and just by looking at this bike you want to see one main thing: the speed, and you can really see that. So let's focus on some features. This bike would cost you around $2,500. This is the Rose or Rose, this is the German brand. Xeon CW. C stands for carbon, W stands for aerodynamics. So I just memorized it stands for wind. So carbon, wind cutting machine. $2,500 for carbon frame, full carbon fork, carbon seat post, sweet saddle that doesn't fit my butt, sorry, alloy bars, and full Ultegra components. These Cosmix wheels you would have to pay additional $700 for. So this bike for $2,500 would come with lower profile stock wheels. Let's look at the features, what does work, what maybe could be improved. And just look at this bike from different angles because it's so beautiful. Yes, the look is really striking. So the aero bike means that we have those tubes pretty large and flattened. Also the rear triangle has smaller or shorter seat stays, so they don't go all the way up here to the joint with the top tube, but they just end up here lower. That means this triangle is just smaller, and it should create less drag. Also, this space between the wheel and the frame is so tiny for better aerodynamics. The look is 10 out of 10, I would say, with this paint. I would really often go to my studio just to take a look at my FSI, which I also love, and this bike, because it is so beautiful. When you sit on the bike, you can see this huge graphics, Xeon and Rose, which looks so nice. This top tube is pretty thick and flattened, so once more you do feel like you have more of the bike underneath you, which is so nice. Here in the front, of course, we have tapered head tube, so larger bearing here at the bottom and smaller at the top of the head tube. The forks, blades look really nice with this Xeon series sign. These are also flattened and a bit larger, so the bike from any angle would just look very nice. Now let's move on to the details. The seat post, as you could imagine, it is also the aero one. That means it's flattened and pretty large. We should not expect this seat post being flexible that means flexing to the back of the bike, giving you some more comfort, some more compliance. You can see some shaping here, but I would not really expect this shape to make any difference. Now, this is the first thing I do not like about the bike, and that's the proprietary seat post with this system for a monolink saddle. This is the Selle Italia SLS. And why I don't like it? First off, I don't really understand the system of monolink rails. It's called monolink, but still, it has two rails, just as you would have on the standard one. It doesn't add any comfort. I don't think it's more aero. Maybe it is by 0.0001% or so. But the problem is, in my opinion, not only in my opinion, this part, which is the saddle, should be highly personalizable, right? Highly customizable. You should be able to feel free to use any type of saddle that will fit your ergonomics, your butt, your body and riding style. Here with this monoling design, you will have not as many options as you would like to. So I'm sorry, Rosa, I would really want to have just the standard mount for the standard rails saddles. Cable routing, I wouldn't be myself not mentioning the cable routing. It's being done in a very neat way. There are some special inserts here on the, or ports on the frame. So all the cables will go inside the frame, one on the right side, drive side, and two on the non-drive side. So the look of the bike is very, very clean. The shifting is very good. The braking is very good. The only problem I have with this is that it makes some noises. So let's try to listen. Just in a second, I'm going to show you the housing that is being routed under the bottom bracket, but I'd like to point out here that it's not problematic at all. It's pretty nice. The brake, it is pretty stiff, so it's not really spongy. I do like it. I like when my brakes start braking right now, so pretty quick. And I really like it. So we're gonna look at the housing right now. Here we have it. So the housing for the rear brake comes out of the main tube, the down tube, just like 10 centimeters over the bottom bracket. And then it goes, the housing goes to the brake, which is the direct mount brake under the BB. Of course, there will be some mud and dirt just being collected on this brake here. It will be more difficult to clean, but as for the braking performance and removing the wheel, I have no problems. In order to remove the wheel, if you want to have release the caliper, we use just this barrel adjuster, and now we have more distance between the braking pads and the wheel. Once more, we use it like that. Can you see how it works? This is how it operates. It's pretty okay. I have actually no complaints right here. Just cleaning this brake will take a bit more time for you, but the braking performance is really cool, and you don't really see this housing, especially that it's just behind the crankset. So in terms of the look, it's still neat and clean. Mavic Cosmic Carbon wheels. I'm gonna do another episode on that, but just in general, I do like those. These are stiffer than the previous generation, and I have very small distance between the braking pad and the rim, and there was no rim against braking pad hitting. So when I go through some rough tarmac, I did already some 60 kilometers through some rough tarmac, and also putting some nice wattage on the drivetrain. No problem with that. So I'm happy with these aero wheels. These are not as sharp shaped as the previous generations, and that's the new aero. I like it, and also I like the sound of the freehab. It is so cool. I've mentioned that the distance between the seat tube and the wheel isn't really big, but it's big enough so that we can fit 25 millimeters tires, and there is no rubbing, because surprisingly there is so many bikes with this problem that even the stock tires will rub against the chainstays, or even somewhere here on the seat tube. There is no problem here, so it's just fine. I'm happy with that, and still it looks so great. The bottom bracket is huge. This whole shell is very huge, but the insert is the press fit. I am not a great fan of press fit because on pretty many bikes it doesn't work very well. No issues so far on this bike, except for some noise which I started to hear maybe 200 kilometers ago, so around 400 kilometers, and I can hear some noise coming out of the right side, especially while I'm pedaling. You may buy the Xeon model with the disc brakes, but this one is already disc brakes compatible. So you have the caliper brakes on the frame, but the frame can take the disc brakes with no problem, except for the fork, because the fork doesn't have it. So the fork, if you want to have the disc brakes on this bike, you would have to replace the fork. So is this bike cool? Yes, it is. Is the bike fast? Of course it is. I cannot tell you that it is 5% or 7% faster than the climbing bike or so, but you definitely feel that you want to go over 30 kilometers per hour, especially with these wheels. Once you go over 25 kilometers per hour, you're gonna start to hear the sound of course, these wheels and the frame. Oh, there's a wind. It's okay. So you're gonna start to hear this aero bike sound, which is so cool, so nice. So I did like riding this bike. The only problem for me would be the saddle. So I don't know what monolink saddles I would have in option. But for $2,500, not with these wheels, with the stock wheels, this is a very, very interesting offer. If you have one of these, please let us know in the comments section. What do you think about it? What works? What doesn't work? For me, this model, this design and this color is pretty awesome.